Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zach Cherry, and with me as always is...
Okay, let's play Cold Turkey. Eddie of Edward is Truth.
And today we're talking about Evil Dead 2013.
Yeah, 2013.
2013.
Bitches.
Released April 5th, 2013. This movie is celebrating its 10-year anniversary. Why are you making fun of me already?
Because you sound funny.
10-year happy birthday, Evil Dead 2013.
Happy birthday, Evil Dead 2013. 10 years, 10 long years.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. But here we
Yeah,
are.
it still feels like it kind of just came out. Although,
well, not just, but it just...
But it does, though.
Yeah.
It also does not. But we'll talk about that.
Well,
So
where's
the
time? Where's the time gone? But I mean, obviously, we've been going through all of the Evil Dead movies. We did the first one way back last year,
Dead, yes.
Yeah, controversial episode for cherry picking reasons.
It's the reason we started doing rules. It was a year ago, wasn't it? A year ago?
That was our 16th episode. So
okay, then it was almost a year.
Maybe
nearly.
it might have been like May of 2022 that we recorded. Okay. But anyway, we've been doing the sequels in closer succession, leading up to Evil Dead Rise, which is coming out at the end of the month. So look forward to an Evil Dead Rise podcast soon.
Ooh.
In the future. But this was interesting because I had noticed algorithmically, just in terms of like, how many people listen to / watch each podcast, that the Evil Dead episodes just aren't popular. And we were talking about this last time, and I was just, I mean, I don't know our demographic of listeners. Like I put this out there in the last one. I'm just assuming. I mean, I'm sure, not to exclude anyone, but like you and I are both LGBTQ. So I just figure then a lot of the people that reach out to us
Not all of them, not every letter.
Yeah, not everyone who I'm just saying that a lot of our viewership and listenership is as well.
Sure. Yes.
But if you're not, thank you for coming aboard. We appreciate the allyship.
We hope you can understand everything we say.
But yeah, and the question that I had posed to you was just like, this is such a popular franchise. Like you hear people are just like, oh, Evil Dead, and just like, but is it the gays? Like, do the gays glom to Evil Dead? Because it feels like whenever I've had conversations with horror aficionados about it, I never really hear like a gay perspective on this series, and it just seems like when you look at it, really, at least the first 3 movies that we did, it's all centered around the character of Ash. There's not really a lot of queer coding to be found there. Like he's a very like hetero, like cis white male character who, as you put it so eloquently, fails upwards. So he succeeds in all of his movies in spite of himself. And historically through like the horror genre, it's the characters like Laurie Strode and Sidney Prescott who have to really face off against great adversity to overcome the obstacle that they're facing in their respective films. That is kind of like the thing that the LGBTQ community can identify with and then just see themselves in. And I was thinking like, well, maybe the 2013 remake will be like an upward trend to this, like this low viewership listenership, because this movie, and we'll get into this more, but it's just like we have a final girl here. This is Mia, at the end of the day. So I'm interested. I'll be keeping tabs just to see how things go, and like listening to just feedback of just seeing like where all of you, how you feel about the Evil Dead franchise, but this entry in particular, because I mean, and I'm going to ask you this, Edward, but what is your Evil Dead rank? What is your Evil Dead ranking? Not including the TV show, because I have not seen that yet. I can't tally that in.
So just the 4 movies that have been released as of this recording.
Yes.
Shall I work from the bottom up?
You know, bottom or top, whichever way you want to go.
Well, let's bottom first.
Okay, bottoms
up. So the bottoms up. Let me see. At the bottom, I think anybody could if they've listened to the pods prior, wouldn't be surprised to know that at the bottom is Army of Darkness. Just above that, I'd put, to my shame, The Evil Dead. Just above that, I'd put Evil Dead, and I understand the irony there, but we can get into all of that when we discuss and unpack this movie. Yeah. And then right at the top, of course, for me, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. That's my... But see, that one for
Dead
me...
by Dawn! Sorry, I had to get that.
Because that's the one where I feel that Ash faces the most adversity and where I feel the most empathy for him, and I think I said that in the pod as much. Yeah.
It's also the campiest... So you know, it's pretty. You know, if we can relate camp to gay, then yeah. I agree with you 100%. That would be my ranking as well. With a caveat that I have to say, because I have not seen this movie in a long time, Evil Dead 2013, without because I really loved it when it first came out, and I was just watching it today, and it takes a really long time to happen for me, you know, like it's just for like the things that I remembered or just like what I really loved about it. Cause I was sitting through a large portion of it, just being like, what is going on? No, not that, but just feeling like, did I like this? Not that it's bad, but I just kind of like, you know, I guess at the time that this came out, I remember it was marketed as the Evil Dead remake. And that was like a big controversy in and of itself. First of all, because the remake trend kind of, like the big part of the remake trend was like the mid 2000s. Like I think it was like by the time we got to 2009, we were seeing like fewer and fewer, like there's like My Bloody Valentine 3D, but it started to taper off once we got into the 2010s, and they were still making a few here and there, but they were few and far between. I think like probably Child's Play is Firestarter is the most recent. That was like right up until last year, which again like just begs the question, why are we still doing this? But they really, you know, and people hated them. People like most diehard horror fans were just like not happy or thrilled about these movies getting remade. And when it was announced that Evil Dead was getting remade, there was an uproar. People are like, how dare you? You know, there's certain things that are like off limits. Like I think people were okay with Halloween being remade because it's like, at least we're getting new Halloween movies and there's like Rob Zombie. But when it comes to things like The Exorcist and The Evil Dead, The Ease, I don't know why, but people were just like, no, those are off limits. So this was pretty controversial, if you remember, like leading up to and during production of just like people were just like, nope, it has to be a continuation of Bruce Campbell. It needs to be Sam Raimi, and you know he obviously was connected to this. He produced it, but it wasn't until being in the theater and watching it, they're just like, oh, this is not a sequel, but it's like it exists in the same universe technically, and there's the button as we'll call it. Yeah. This I will call this a button at the end because it's not even a scene. It's literally like a dark backdrop with his face in the shadows of Bruce Campbell, Ash, just being like groovy and turning to the camera. Yeah, that's what I would consider a button.
It's like the bump at the end of the song so everybody knows to applaud.
Yeah.
But I was really grateful for that too, because I didn't know it was coming. I just sit through the end credits anyway, because it's kind of a meditative act for me when I go to movie theaters.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I'm finding I enjoy being in movie theaters less and less because people are increasingly rude and terrible. But and my home is so much more comfortable, and I can pause it and go to the bathroom, whatever. Mm-hmm. But and I honestly, the resolution on my screen is so much better than that of the resolution in the movie theaters that sometimes cut the brightness in half so they can save money and everything like that on electricity.
I just went to see Scream 6 twice. Both times were 3D. And it's already like dark enough as it is, but they have you put on these glasses that are even darker. I actually watched most of it without the glasses on, because the only time you really needed the 3D effect was when there was like the images were more in like the background, but most of the movies like up close, so it's just like I didn't need it. But I noticed, like, okay, with the glasses on, like too dark, glasses off, okay, this can work. So and I don't normally, I have prescription glasses and I should wear them when I go to the theater, but it's just so cumbersome that I agree. Like I love going to the theaters. I love the act of being in the theaters and just like the whole idea behind it. But I also love watching movies at home. Like I spend money on like a beautiful TV that, I want to watch my movies in 4K on. Like I'll do that. And you're right, people are fucking obnoxious at the theaters and have like zero respect for anyone. And if you can't even say anything, because they'll just like stop for a second and then they'll just like carry on. God, and then if you tell them what are we going to do? Threaten them with violence?
Well, no, it used to work. There was back in the day, like 10 years ago, I was in my prime as far as just like being I can't call myself the shusher, but I would speak to people in a very deliberate tone, just, but not rude, but letting them know I'm serious. Like, could you please stop talking? And they would. And usually they'd be very embarrassed. Or, excuse me, that glare from your phone is really distracting. Could you please turn it off? Oh, I'm so sorry. There was shame. That was actually, now it's just kind of like, I'm going to sit here and be on my phone just to spite you for like 5 extra seconds before I put it away. And that's like a best case scenario. Anyway, but I don't want to make this about the audience. Anyway, back in 2013, I was still enjoying going to the theaters more so than I am now. Yeah. And I had a great experience with the audience because there was that discovery of this is not a remake. This is more, I think I would be comfortable calling it a reboot, because it rebooted the franchise in a sense that it brought audiences back in. It made more money than any of the theatrically than any of the prior films. It became, I was just watching Charts with Dan Merle's YouTube podcast, and he was discussing what did he call them, like stairwell movies or whatever, or staircase movies, where one movie after the other, the sequels just kind of like climb higher and higher. And one that could not be proven was Evil Dead, because the original release was never really recorded. And because it was so kind of shopped around and kind of like word of mouth, like movie theaters are like kind of passing it to each other, going like, watch this movie, and the kids will love it, and here's a drive-in, let's show something, The Evil Dead, it sounds fun. But and then they started tracking it afterwards, but the box office, it leads us to believe that even through inflation and everything like that, that these movies are doing well. So I mean, this one did well. It did come on the tail of like all of those other reboots and remakes that you were discussing. But what's interesting, I forgot, because I tend to think of it as one of the good ones of its ilk. And I think one of the reasons is because in spite of all the things I didn't notice in the thick of it at 2013, because of how many remakes and reboots were around in Scriforum and all of that, the production values I always felt were a bonus with this movie. That's the way I remember them. But as I was watching it, this particular screening, I thought it does look like a music video sometimes, like this, much in the same way like a Marcus Nispel remake might, or something along those lines. Also desaturated, but still pleasing to the eye in that somehow simultaneously grimy yet also HD cinema way, like
what
a lot of their other reboots.
Because Marcus Nispel, or is it Nispel?
Yeah.
Because he did Texas Chainsaw 2003. What was the other one he did? Was it Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because that was 2009. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was noticing that too, because it was just like it really looked like, because this is 2013, but it looked like it, was like a 2009 movie. I know that 4 years is probably like nothing to people, but like there was a difference for sure. There was a difference.
Yeah.
But I think that like it might have been like for this movie, like I think why I had like such a positive response to it is because it was kind of a twist that it wasn't the same thing over. And, it's kind of like almost like the effect of like what we talked about last episode with Scream 6, of just kind of like you're seeing something like a new twist or something for the first time. And it's just like, wow, this is so fresh and amazing. But then when you start to see it again and again, the effect might wear off for some people. So I think that maybe this is one of the cases where because I already know, not that this, like the plot of this movie is predicated on this being a twist, that it's not a remake. But it almost like it's sort of like working on a very like sneaky level of that, because like if you look at this movie aesthetically, it's like 5 friends go to a cabin. Every single character is basically a counterpart for the original movie's cast, because you have like the Shiloh, I don't know his last name, the guy who's Fernandez, yeah, who's like playing David. That could essentially be like the new Ash. And then he's got his sister, except it's not Cheryl this time, it's Mia. And then you've got, and I don't even remember, Olivia was one of them, and she's kind of like the Shelley, the nurse. Yeah. Well, I don't know if the original one was a nurse, but yeah.
No. But I'm just saying
these characters are definitely a lot more realized. Like they have a lot more depth than the ones that we saw in the original, with the exception of, I have no idea what her name is.
Natalie?
The blonde? Yeah.
I disagree. I actually really get a good vibe from her. I mean, it's all subtextual, or headcanon, as we like to say. But for me, I get a read on her immediately that she's trying to be a good girlfriend to I don't want to call him Shiloh, the whole thing, to David. Yeah. And there's something about her vibe in the beginning just feels very a familiar territory. Like if you are dating someone and you meet their friend group for the first time, and it's a really intense kind of situation, so you don't want to overstep your bounds, but you want to be helpful. But also I don't know, it felt very real to me, and not dissected, not examined, but just existing, in the other character's periphery, kind of like I'm almost a non-character, because the more invisible I am, the more you guys can all do whatever it is you need to do. Obviously, you have a long history with each other, and you're not all just like fast friends, like you didn't just come to this cabin, to like visit a cabin in the woods, or whatever. Like we're here with that's another thing that struck me though.
You're making a lot of excuses for her. I'll just say that.
No, but I liked her. I really did
before
like her.
Before you get into the side story here, what was the other guy's name? Because I wasn't keeping track.
Eric, the guy with the glasses.
Yeah. The only thing I know is that he was in season 1 of You, like the Penn Badgley show. He was the ex-boyfriend of like the first like season 1 girl that he was stalking. So he was one of like the first like he was in a few episodes at the beginning there, we'll say, without spoiling that show for
I liked
season 1 of
I haven't seen You yet, but I liked him in this. It was also, it's funny because while I was watching this and it opened up, I knew not to, but somewhere in the back of my head, I realized how much my mind was expecting the cabin in the woods. But then
right.
things start coming to the forefront, like grief and shame and, recovery and
Yeah, but there is that bit when he's reading from the book, and it just says like there needs to be like the 5 sacrifices, and nothing like that was ever mentioned in any of the other Evil Dead movies. And this came out after Cabin in the Woods. Like that predates this by a year, I believe.
It was made many years before.
It was made, but nobody would have known about that. So it was almost like, whether, like, depending on like what the production time frame is, like when they started doing this and that movie came out, it's almost like a James Bond or like Austin Powers to then James Bond thing again, where it's just like it's just like, here's Cabin in the Woods making fun of like Evil Dead type movies, and then like Evil Dead comes back and just like, well, we're gonna make fun of the movies that make fun of us. How do you like that?
Well, it was funny because I was kind of like I think I was prepping myself like, okay, so there's going to be that thing with the mirror, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's Cabin in the Woods. Yeah. And then when I started to see like what was actually unfolding before me, that's when I started really appreciating, in a way. I think I made some complaints, much to the chagrin of a lot of people who listened and bounced, or not bounced,
deflected,
clapped back at me after we did that discussion, because they were upset. I'm not upset, but because they didn't understand how I didn't love Cabin in the Woods. And I think
I didn't either.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was smart, but again, like, I need guts and heart, and I felt like Cabin in the Woods was mostly mind. With Evil Dead, with Evil Dead 2013, I feel like because of the things that I mentioned, and because of the way a lot of people complained at the time, I remember, of its release, and for, maybe a year or two afterward, I remember hearing a lot of people disliking this in retrospect, because it tried to, in some people's eyes who were fans of the Evil Dead franchise, attach meaning to things where they didn't need to be attached. And I felt like that was a strength of this movie, especially at this 4th chapter in the franchise, which is no longer kind of like following a consecutive timeline. We've jumped ahead several years. We are absent our usual leading man. And even the nature of the attacks sometimes is incredibly familiar to me, and as far as the franchise is concerned, and the kind of scares they go for, the kind of ridiculosity that manifests, before you, that's entertaining but dark. But then there's also things that feel so incredibly brutal and intentional, and I think hit more on, like, say, a Hills Have Eyes reboot or something like that. I mean, particularly because of they restage and reimagine the attack on the sister character,
the tree
in this case
thing,
in this case it's Mia, and because Jane Levy is, and I'm gonna call her Levy and just assume that, because I called Eugene Levy for a long time and then found out via Dan Levy it's Levy, so I'm assuming Jane Levy is, they're all family. But Jane Levy,
they just didn't invite her to be on Schitt's Creek. That's the only problem.
I know, that's a shame. But she's there's a lot of people didn't get invited onto Schitt's Creek that I think they still could be running and still be inviting people who are awesome onto that show. But anyway, she could be one of them. But she is, I think this was the first time I saw her in anything, and if it wasn't, it was the first time I took notice of her prior to Don't Breathe, and I remembered thinking, who is this fucking badass? Even before she did anything, I loved the way she played an addict who is reaching for recovery. I loved the way she reminded me of friends of mine who struggle with addiction, who have this incredible frankness with which they deliver whatever it is that they say to you. That you're getting the truth, and it's not harsh, but it's also not cushioned, with any kind of like politeness or civility. It's just kind of like, this is the way things are. And I don't know, I appreciated that.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I was going to ask you,
yeah,
are you doing a premise?
I have one.
Okay. I don't even remember if we did a premise last
We didn't.
episode.
I had one, but we were also there were 3 of us, and I knew that we were all going to be talking for a long time, so I figured, people have seen it, and that was a new movie, but this one is an older movie.
Because
so,
I know, because
in honor,
you love doing your premises, so let's.
Do I? Okay.
Well, I believe so, because we never did them originally, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna do this now. And actually,
you asked me to do this.
No, and the Evil Dead. No, the Evil Dead.
No, because it started off as a synopsis. But no, I didn't. Did I take the initiative? I don't think I did. Did I? I don't think I did.
Am I the drama?
Okay. No, I don't.
All I was gonna say was that the Evil Dead, like that episode, was the first time you did a premise. And it was also the first episode where we the first episode where we really clashed on the cherry picker rules, which then brought about
well, because we didn't have rules, and then we created them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. In any event, I don't remember it being my idea, but I'll do it. Sure, I did it this time.
No, I think it was suggested by viewers / listeners, and then you're like, "Oh my god, that's a capital idea!"
I don't know if I was that enthusiastic, but I think
should we
had
drop
so
them,
much
then?
going on. Yeah. No, because you had so much going on that it was like, okay, I'll do it. And if it's requested, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was requested by the viewers. You delivered the message to me because they weren't making that request toward me. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, cool.
No one wants to hear me do a premise.
It's not. I do, but I'll still write it. But I want to hear you deliver it. But I'll deliver this one.
All right.
Okay. Dez is mewing at me. Don't ruin the premise. Hey.
There are cats in this movie.
There are cats. You want to end up like the cat in Evil Dead 2013? She's coming over here. Yeah. She's doing laps. Anyway, she's just kind of restless. Yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm going to do it. David, his drug-addicted sister, Mia, his old friends, Eric and Olivia, and his girlfriend, Natalie, travel to an isolated cabin to aid Mia in her drug withdrawals and her path to abstinence. When they discover the Necronomicon in a hidden cellar, Eric can't resist reading it aloud and unintentionally summoning some evil dead.
There we go. Yeah.
I think we spelled out that much just with our talk anyway. But
it's just a formality, you know.
Yeah, but before we continue with like the body of it and everything like that, one thing I really, really do appreciate is the opening. I always forget the misdirect of this opening sequence. Yeah. It feels like that for me because we start with just like, number one, a girl who seems to be a victim. And then we realize that these horrible men who are like pulling a sack over her head and pinning her down. And they even already kind of allude to the tree thing coming later with a shot of her on the ground as they're both kind of like on top of her wrestling, and it looks like her skirt's riding up a little bit. It makes me very uncomfortable. And then I think the misdirect really comes with, you know, when we realize that, oh, she's already been infected. They don't, because at first I thought, oh my God, did they just think she is? Like, is this like ye old, I don't know, forest?
We're still back in Army of Darkness days.
Right. Yeah. Well, or somewhere, maybe closer to like pioneer times or something. I got some weird Puritan vibes from them. Like maybe they you know, around the time of the witch.
Who knows?
Or something.
I mean, maybe there's like someone has done a timeline video on YouTube of just like every Evil Dead scene and where it falls in the canon.
I'd be interested. Yeah. Put it on a t-shirt. I'll wear it. But so anyway, but also just that's the first glimpse we get of kind of like what it looks like, the manifestation of her kind of deadite self, and the newness with which we get that, because it doesn't necessarily look like the deadites of yesteryear, but I'm fine with it, you know, like it's because that's another thing. It's not so realistic that it's like off-putting, but it's also I don't know. I think it's well done, but it's also kind of, I don't know, like anime design, kind of like, or I don't. Do you know what I mean? Like it looks traced, almost like they trace the eyes out to really, really pronounce them, and you can see even the contacts that they're wearing to change their eye color.
Well, I mean, I think that the old Sam Raimi movies had like a very homemade look to them, just in terms of the effects. Yeah. So this does have its
especially
own signature
the first one
style. Oh, that first one. Weren't they using like cream of corn or something at one point?
Cream of wheat. Cream of wheat.
Cream of wheat.
It's so good to eat.
Go down to the cellar and get some cream of wheat.
Wheat. But that's another thing. I love the fact that those are the first kind of clues that like this isn't a remake, is that like when they discover the cellar, not only is the cellar hidden, like somebody was there before and contained something and knew, but some shit went down. There was a blood trail leading, like somebody got dragged to their never again down there. I thought that was nice. There are a bunch of things that also
there's also
to the old movie though,
the car is like junked out back of the cabin and she's sitting on it and drawing.
Right.
So, and that actually begs the question is like, wasn't the car transported back to like Army of Darkness era?
That's what they want you to think.
So now it's so that never happened, even though we saw he used it in the movie as so it just like magically is back in 2013.
Maybe
explain that to me.
It's the magic of the forest.
Sure.
Maybe that car has an interdimensional twin, and we got a trade-off. Maybe like we got like also a really goofy Ash from another dimension that swapped, and so maybe that's why they. Or
maybe it's like a multiverse.
Yeah. So sure. Maybe that's not that car, but it's that car from a parallel universe. So there you go. There's the answer to your question, boy. But I appreciated the presence, the introduction of the electric knife when I think it's Natalie is carving with it. She's carving meat with it, and I'm just kind of thinking like, oh, I know what they're going to use that for.
Yeah, they have the nail gun.
And,
everything kind of
all fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then, okay, how do you feel, because you already kind of expressed your opinion about Natalie, how do you feel about Eric?
Eric
if
was
you
like,
have any opinion.
I mean, Eric was like, because this movie's not funny, per se, like it does not have the camp value, but I mean, like, I think that like the humor that he was bringing to it, because it was just very subtle. Because he was like kind of the one that would just like, I forget like the specific lines that he said, but he was just kind of like the one pointing out the irony of the situation and stuff. While everyone else was just like, either skeptical or just like, okay, we need to do this. And he's just like, hello, like what the fuck? So I actually like him.
Even though he's the reason that like the whole Necronomicon shit goes down.
Someone's gotta be, but you don't. That's the thing. These movies, like, it's so hard to like can you like pinpoint it and just say like, oh, because he read from the book, or is just the fact that they're there causes it? Because we've seen how like the canon works in the past. Like you were complaining how in Army of Darkness, Sheila, played by Cherry Picker favorite Emmett Davids,
yes,
was was the first human to ever come back from being a deadite, and that's just like I call bullshit, but now it's just something that they do all the time, and it's just like, where do you even clock like the transference of like demonic energy into the person? Because it's just like we've seen it before where like someone might get like bonked on the head or like pushed into a wall, because that's like what happened to that one guy in Evil Dead 2, who's also another blonde person whose name I can't remember. Welcome to the Evil Dead franchise. When he's laying on the couch, he's got that like bandage on his head, and then he just pops up and he's a deadite. So it's just like, what he was literally pushed into a picture frame. I think that's what it was.
Well, but
so where
that bothers me. That bothers me less because sometimes it's almost as though like if you're left alone, like the thing can just kind of find you. You don't have to necessarily die to be possessed. But what bothered me was the coming back just 'cause. It felt like the ending of a fairy tale that I don't want to have read to me at bedtime, you know? Whereas with this one, there's a coming back, but at least it's, there's some effort behind it as far as establishing it, like, in the lore. Like, it comes straight from the book, and they're not even certain it's going to work. At one point, I think David asks Eric, like, are you sure? And Eric, this is one thing I like about Eric, he looks at him and is like, sure? No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about any of this. I'm just trying to make sense of it, and, whatever. But I mean, the thing is, like, personally, to answer my own question about Eric, because I went in with a question mark over my head about him, because I have a friend who hates him and who hates the actor who plays him, and I found out.
Does he know him personally?
Either. No, he just thinks he's a bad actor, and I'm like, I think there's something about him that must remind you of someone else,
like an ex,
that just kind of like puts you off or something. But for me, I thought he did a good job, and also I the thing about the character for me is usually this would be like prime cherry picker material, because he's kind of the reason the on-screen presence reason that all of this happens, because he bottom line, I find a nasty book wrapped in a trash bag with barbed wire, I'm not unboxing it, I'm not, even if I were stupid enough to do it, once I see that it's bound in human flesh, I'm done. I'm out. I'm putting it back. I'm leaving. And if I can, I'm finding a way.
Are
and
you even walking into the cellar of like dead cats being like hung up from the ceiling? Like that's another thing. It's just like, that's almost like even if you went into the woods and saw like the Blair Witch with the little stick things hanging there, like I feel like you would like turn around and run the other way. So you put cats there, like
no, you put cats in the situation. First sign of a dead cat, I'm out. I'm like, nope, no, thank you. I have a very cat-like energy, so I'm not going to attract this. I'm going to go home and have an edible and hope I never think of this again. But I hope. As I was watching it, I was thinking, okay, so Eric's an idiot because there's no reason to fucking read this book.
Yeah.
I did, even though I did appreciate the incorporation of Kunda, Yeah. But even though I think its placement was weird, I think he said more stuff afterwards. Whereas when what's her name in Book of the Dead read it, it was the last thing she said to try and. But I guess when you're summoning it, it's different than when you're trying to send it away. I don't know. I don't remember what the spell is.
Don't ask me about the mythology of this series. It's Greek to me.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do have to say that Eric ends up kind of, I don't know if I would call it necessarily even redeeming himself, but he graduates from being the kind of character that I'm going to roll my eyes at and go like, fuck you, and I hope you die. Because he actually does seem, at least in a position to atone for what he did. Like, he chooses that position. Yeah. He comes clean with David. It's a little late for it, but at least he does. And then he proactively does the best he can to kind of, like, clean it up. Now, the reason it doesn't make me excuse him entirely is because part of his plan involves killing the friend who they all went out there to help detox and go through her withdrawals from her drug addiction. Now let's kill her. I'm going to do what needs to be done. And he says when he's saying it in that particular exchange with David, he's so kind of self-righteous at that moment where I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, so now you're going to kill your friend. Good for you. Yeah. Good for you, Eric.
And Scotty is like the kind of like the counterpart of the original. And he was your cherry picker in that.
Yeah, but he wasn't my real choice.
He wasn't your because you were bending the rules. But
there were no rules to be bent. Go on.
Okay.
There were never any rules established before that episode.
I think it was just logic.
Go on.
It was just logical.
On.
No, I was just because it just makes sense that you would immediately kind of like hone in on him and just be like, you. I like you the least because, reasons.
No, I know who I like the least. I know who I like the least in this movie.
Oh.
Shall I share it with you?
Is this going to be a spoiler for later?
I mean, maybe, but who cares?
Okay. You're like, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. It's a discussion.
Okay.
No, because it really, because this movie is not really owned by any one character. Obviously, there's a final girl, and obviously, she's kind of set up to be that way. She's the only one who kind of has like a doppelganger who's taunting her the whole time.
I would argue that she's set up. That was kind of a twist for me, but go on.
I think she is, but at the same time, there's a large part of the movie where she is not on screen. She's just kind of like, there she is in the cellar still. And I mean, Jane Levy's doing an incredible job sitting there doing her, or whatever she's doing, looking very goblin-esque and just going for it.
Okay, spill though. Who do you hate?
Who do I hate is Olivia.
Okay.
Because this is the thing. I'm a Virgo. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on the pod before. One thing about Virgos is we do like to be in charge of the way things are carried out and everything like that because we think things out. We're strategic. We do, kind of like think about like the plan A, the plan B, and the plan C. But not too much because we don't want to upset the plan A. Anyway, we're also really, really good at working under people, who like are in a position of authority if we respect them and if they're competent. Olivia is the perfect example of somebody I would never want to be subordinate to because she's not competent, but she is confident. And I don't like that. She swears up and down that she knows what's best for Mia. She seems to live under the delusion, even though she is a nurse, that you can somehow control someone into sobriety, which is just it's not the case. It's not on screen or off screen. And for me, she's the real reason the movie happens, because if they all would have listened to Mia and just tried to leave, they maybe would have stood a better. I mean, it would have just turned out the way all the other movies do, but at least they all would have been on the same side. But she is like this force that keeps like conflicting. She's the one she's the naysayer. She's the one who has the best idea. They're like, we need to get her to a hospital. She would get the exact same treatment from, I'm giving her the exact same treatment she would get in a hospital. And I'm just like, no, fuck you. And that's actually one thing that makes me like Natalie, because at one point she claps back at Olivia, which is just kind of like, I think like Olivia's going, and she's just kind of like, we've been doing everything you've been... I don't remember what the exact line is, but she says something like, we've been doing everything you've been saying up until this point, and look where it's got us. That's basically like the conceit. And yeah, so by the time Olivia starts getting all, herky-jerky and, cranky-wanky with her neck and, the ring girl coming out of the TV and everything, I start to kind of feel like, yeah, bitch, that, and not bitch because she's, female, but bitch because I'd say it if she were a guy. If it were, what's the male version of
Edward? Nobody cares. It's okay.
No, but what's a male version of a word of the name Olivia? Olivio? I don't know.
Olivier?
Ollie. If it were Oliver, I'd just be like, yeah, bitch, Oliver, because I don't like people,
Oliver. Yeah.
I don't like people who profess to be, that much in control of like the situation or other people when clearly it's been out of your control from the beginning. Like we're talking about someone's sobriety. Yeah. You can't force them into that.
All I got out of that rant is that, okay, so clearly Olivia is not a Virgo.
Or
maybe she is though. You're just the self-hating.
No, Virgo. It's not. No, because Virgos actually tend to get along really, really well with each other. Anytime I meet somebody with my birthday, which is often, I have the second most common birthday.
Is that a thing?
I meet somebody with, it's a thing. But so it's because of the time of year, because it's cold.
Or was just like what's like Valentine's Day, because like maybe like a lot of couples get together and
kind of, but also wintry, because I mean I was premature too. Like I was supposed to be
actually no. I guess that Valentine's babies would be Scorpios. I've heard that. There's like a meme like don't fuck on Valentine's Day unless you want a Scorpio.
Yeah, so it's more like around like Christmas and New Year's. Yeah. I can't do math. I can't math.
Like a New Year's, yeah, because that makes sense. Because like you're like September is Virgo season, so 9 months, 9-month pregnancy. So like New Year's babies get
it's cold because it's cold.
Yeah. Anyway, this is our zodiac portion of the episode.
Right. But no, so but if she were a Virgo, maybe she's a Virgo ruled by many other houses, because I'd like to think that when I'm in charge, I'm in charge. But I'd also like to think that if
you should ask the actress, just be like, so when you were doing preparation for the role, what zodiac sign did you envision yourself in, and what were all your houses in?
I don't know if that's something actors always do, unless you're like playing Monica from Friends. You're obviously a Virgo, but I bet Courtney Cox might know that. But anyway, yeah, that pisses me off. But again, like, okay, the aftermath of like the tree scene and everything like that, because I don't want to like linger on that, but the aftermath when she's back in the room, Jane Levy, when she's still herself, but she's doing that thing where she's kind of huddled in the corner, and I think it was in the trailer for the movie before it came out, where she was just in there and she was just whispering to David, and something followed me back from the woods, and I think it's still here with us. And it is so incredibly like my favorite version of camp, because she is committed out the wazoo. There is no denial of that, but it is so huge, and I couldn't ask for anything more. She should have gotten some kind of award for that scene alone, because that's hard to do that without looking ridiculous.
At this point, I think like not being acknowledged by the Academy Awards is an award in and of itself. It's just like, oh, well,
okay. Not the Academy
we're not
Awards,
cool enough to sit with you. Okay,
Yeah, no.
I don't know why we're all from Haddonfield. No.
Yeah, we're all from Halloween Ends, Haddonfield, East Side, bitches.
We're gonna have some milk with your lasagna.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that. Yes, everything to what you're saying. I mean, I don't have the same issues with this character. Because I think that the thing is that she wants to get clean. She's there. She's putting her life, so to speak, in her friend's hands. She knows that there's going to, like it happens really quickly when they're just like, she dumps the, whatever, was it coke or heroin down the, like, what was she specifically a junkie of? Do we know?
I was so busy watching her, I don't even remember. I was trying to remember actually while I was setting up for this. I couldn't remember if it was pills or powder. It was one
powder.
Or the other, but I can't remember.
It was powder.
It was powder? Okay, it's probably cocaine then, or maybe it was a little but do people dust.
No, I
don't know.
Yeah, but did people go like, are there like coke withdrawals? I think it must have been heroin.
I think so.
To that level, I mean,
anytime you're physically addicted to something, withdrawal is not going to be pretty. Yeah. So whatever it was,
but I don't know my drugs. Yeah. Same. But she, like, because it happened really quickly, like where she was just like screaming, but it started with like the smell, because it's just like, can you not smell that? And so it but they knew what they were going through. She knew what she was gonna go through. So I just like, I don't have the same hatred towards this poor nurse character who who is like frozen and urinating, which like the yellowest pee ever, by the way. Like she needs to drink some water. But like, no, I don't. I feel bad for them. But
no, I don't at all.
But I guess like
I'm really upset.
more so going back to what you said, because had alluded to her being set up as the final girl, because when I saw this, I still was just of the impression that, we're just doing the remake, because everything that was happening was still happening in the same way that it did in the original, to the same people. Like Cheryl gets attacked first, same with Mia. She ends up getting possessed, she's in the cellar, and then it's I think it was like Shelley next, and then Linda was the last one, who was just kind of like, lingering around, and that's kind of like the Natalie character. Yeah. Can we just at this point say that Natalie is just like the fourth Linda?
Happily.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I'm still like, Bridget Fonda is still forever my favorite Linda, even though it's just like, was she even like, it's just because of who she is. But
it's because it's Bridget Fonda.
Exactly. And I believe it was like Scotty and Ash that were like the last two standing. So I just assumed like Mia's fucked anyway, that it would like, we were basically watching Shiloh Fernandez giving his rendition of Ash Williams. And that's just what I was and I mean, like, I was always like enjoyed the ride of it all, but I think that her coming back at that moment, like, that always was just like, and I didn't believe it at first, because I was just like, they're doing like the, like, hush little baby, don't say, like, Mother Henrietta or whatever, just like coming back in human form. And I'm just like, no, it's a trap. It's a trap. And then it was just like, well, wait, when is like the other shoe gonna fall off? And it's just like, she never turned back. But it was like almost like heightened to that sense, because like she endured some damage. Like she had her skin like boiled off in that shower, but as soon as she as soon as she was resurrected, she was just like perfect. Her skin was flawless. And it's just like, what happened to that? Like, what happened to the like the X-Acto knife through the tongue? Like, did she have like a thing where her tongue was like serpent, separated?
I wonder if it somehow unmakes all that the Deadite kind of like inflicted on her. Maybe it just kind of like gives her a clean slate. And maybe that's why she's also no longer detoxing.
I mean, I'm not...
Like it's like being born anew, reborn.
Yeah, it's not a criticism. It's just like, okay, like, I guess.
Well, it took... I agree with you, because like prior to that, like prior to even like her, kind of like manifesting like her Deaditism and everything like that, it didn't feel very Evil Dead franchise like to me. It felt so earnest and so much darker, much in the vein of like a lot of reboots and remakes prior to that time, like around that era. But one thing that I appreciated, I think the first moment for me that really felt like, okay, now we're in Evil Dead, was, and also it helped that it was happening to Olivia, was when Mia vomited that kind of blood slush continuously all over her, like in ridiculous amounts. And then I felt like, number one, I was laughing because something horrible was happening to a character I do not like at all, but also because I was laughing at the violence for the first time in the movie. I was like, now I'm in an Evil Dead movie, because it's so ridiculous. It's playing to the back row. It's just overblown and not at all as earnest as like everything that has preceded. And there were a lot of other moments that followed for me with that, like the way he crafted a homemade defibrillator to bring Mia back.
Well, I mean, like the part where, like, I guess when Mia comes out and like the doors open and she screams because she's got the shotgun, like that's when the movie started to happen for me, because I was still enjoying the character of Mia up until that point, but I wasn't getting like the camp that you got out of it. I was like getting that like, here's like the dreadful like remake-ness out of everything. And there are certain things, because I like, once poor sweet Shiloh departs the movie,
David
I'm Shiloh, and then it just becomes her. I was like, okay, fully on board. Like this, I love this because this was like,
Me
you
too.
know, this was high camp. It's raining blood. Hallelujah. And this fucking, like, the abomination comes out of the ground and there's this wicked chase scene. And then it's over so quickly. And I was almost getting shades of, like, Laurie versus Michael, Halloween H2O. Or probably as a better... No. As a better example, like,
Okay.
Halloween ends Laurie versus Michael.
No!
But no. Listen, that's why I wanted said H2O, because it's like epic fight, but it's just like, but it's over so quickly. And that's how I felt about it. Like, it was almost like I needed more of her in this movie because I did think that, like, she was already like a write-off at that point. That she was in the cellar, and it was just sort of like we were following him. And not to say that, like, Shiloh Fernandez, or is it Hernandez? Fernandez, you know, doesn't have like the charisma to like carry the movie. But I was just, you know, I was always kind of like, like, I'm not getting enough from him to.
No,
like,
he's not quite Bruce Campbell. I agree with you there as far as like carrying it over to the point where I can empathize with him, because also I feel like he was dumber than Ash in certain situations because he kept denying what was going on. Also, that was another thing and I appreciated that too, though. I appreciated the fact that every one of the three characters, really, because I liked Mia pretty much consistently and I liked Natalie pretty consistently, but the other three, I liked the fact that I didn't like a lot of things that they did. You know, really can't stand Olivia, but at the same time there are moments where I'm just kind of like, oh, that's interesting.
But anyway, so, you know, what I was saying is, like, what I would have loved is, like, obviously more Mia, but I also, you know, didn't like the fact that, you know, here we have, since we've been following the David character for so long, it's almost like once he became not relevant anymore, they, like, quickly killed him off. And what I would have appreciated if it was kind of like a sibling thing and the two of them actually overcame this together, because, you know, we've discussed this so many times before. Like, I love sibling final couples, you know, just like, you know, like going back as far as Trish and Tommy in Friday Final Chapter, you know, like, I live for that shit. I wanted to see, you know, that's why I just, like, I didn't like that she was absent from the movie for so long, like, and we were just following him. I would have appreciated more of, like, her perspective of the whole thing, because I think what would have been an interesting angle is as, like, how this is kind of like on the subtext of everything. She's going through withdrawals. This is like a battle against her drug addiction. Why did we not see that movie of, like, her demons sort of like battling the demons that, you know, possessed her, to see, like, which one was stronger, sort of thing. And that's how she kind of defeated it, rather than having her brother, you know, I know that you like this, put together this defibrillator and then bring her back, only for him to then just killed off. Like, it would have been more interesting if there was more of, like, an internal battle on her part that we got to see throughout the movie, because I think that she is such a great final girl. Like, we talk about the final girl ranking that we did on the Cherry Picker After Dark. Subscribe to the Patreon, my Patreon, so you can watch that episode where we ranked, like, fucking 80 final girls. But she did really well, because admittedly, we haven't seen this in a long time, but she left an impression. And it's just like, that impression is in that fucking, like, that last 10 minutes of the movie. Because this is a short movie. This, like, but, like, as the credits start to roll, it is an hour and 26 minutes, I believe. Yeah. So she left an impression at the end there. Like, I would have loved for her to be in this more, to have more to do, to have that relationship between the siblings be more of a focal point, because I think that, you know, the relationship that he had with the other characters was kind of, you know, got equal footing throughout the entire movie. It wasn't until, like, really, like, you know, at the beginning parts and then at the end when he resurrected her that we really got to see it, and then he was gone.
Well, I mean, yeah, we do see it. I mean, we only really get to see him connect with her like a couple times, but they always seem to be private conversations. Whereas,
Yeah.
like with the other people, it seems less intense, even if they are just two-person conversations. They don't seem like private. They don't seem, like they're really going to unpack. Like that's one of the things that I actually appreciated about Olivia was the fact that when she was alone with Eric talking about David, he was kind of resenting David for not being around. And she pointed out to him, like, so she said something like, you still love him or you still care about him or something like that. Like they used to be good friends. And then all of a sudden he fell off the face of the earth because we never do. That's one thing I don't entirely agree with you that I need all of that, but it would have been interesting to find out exactly how abusive was his mother to him and how much of that was really what drove him away, or was it just his inability to deal with the situation? Because some people just can't, and they feel like, you know what, you'd be better off with me out of the picture. So I don't know. I got kind of a sense of both from him, and it'd be nice to kind of get an answer to the question.
I mean, it's interesting that because we already mentioned Marcus Nispel and Friday the 13th, 2009, another Friday the 13th movie where there's a sibling final duo, and not that I think that any of those characters of those two on their own are really, breaking any new ground or that memorable or that great. But I still like their drive to sort of like the Jared Padalecki's character to find his sister, like that had more momentum and force in it than like whatever the fucking like we got from these characters in this movie of their relationship. That's not to say that like separately they didn't do a better job, but it's just like, it really was it like I said, it wasn't really till the end that everything that like I loved about this movie just like came back to me, and it just like seeing how short played it was, I was a little disappointed at that.
Wow, because for me, I actually prefer this brother-sister dynamic in Evil Dead 2013 to the Jared Padalecki and what is her name? I can't remember right now.
The actress's name is Amanda Rigetti, but the character's name
Amanda
is
Rigetti. Yeah,
Whitney and Clay Miller.
Whitney and Clay.
They're not. Okay. No, I'm not saying that they're a great brother-sister duo, but I'm just saying like I remember that. Like I remember them as like siblings. I remember like that being his entire purpose in that movie. Whereas this, not to say that it wasn't his purpose, like to like save his sister, but it just felt like more like the kind of like the impetus of the entire story of just like what was happening was more of just like a survival thing, because it was just got to a point where just like they're getting the Natalie character who you love so much is like shooting nails at them, and I'm just more focused on like that. It's just like they're getting like in the arms and the legs, then he's getting beaten, the friend Eric with the crowbar. Like, not that that's bad, like, great, like that's, satisfying, the bloodlust, but there wasn't like the whole sibling thing was just kind of like forgotten about for me at that point.
See, I don't know about forgotten about, but sidelines, sure. But I didn't. Again, it didn't bother me because, like, first, also just like the exchange that they had the exchanges that they had in the beginning between David and Mia, and like one of my favorite moments that I had forgotten about is just when she starts talking, she starts remembering their mother, and he's just kind of like, oh, well, it says something to the effect of like, oh, well, you know what? You don't have to have those kind of bad thoughts anymore right now. You're all about good. And she's like, and she says, Mom's not a bad one. Yeah. And that ended up becoming, first of all, it was resonant with me just because, number one, again, that directness she was speaking with, just kind of like, let me go where I need to go. Let me express what I need to express. Like the very nature of me not using anymore means that I'm not going to be able to divine myself from the bullshit. So you need to kind of like let me be and just kind of be okay with it instead of trying to correct me or keep me on track or whatever like that. But later, when he started discussing like the fact that their mother had this mental illness, and again, like, you know, cinematic depictions of like what mental illness is, like the fact that it doesn't ever get explained, or there's never like a word about a diagnosis that she had, like a condition, a specific thing. She was just kind of crazy and screaming things. But I can understand how that could be a trigger for him when everybody around him starts to lose it. Yeah. But just these figures of aggression who are supposed to be the people he's close to or whatever, even you know, his girlfriend, his sister, his old friends. But what the thing why I think we can really dig into Friday the 13th 2009 when we do that pod. But for this one, because I have a lot to say, but for this one, what I will say about why I think I champion this sibling dynamic over that one. As far as this movie,
look, don't put words in my mouth. I don't champion that one over anything. I just remember it more.
No, I'm saying I didn't say anything about you, darling. I said I champion it.
Listen,
so the reason I do.
Listen, hon. I know how you work. You put these little words in there that you know shift things around. It must be a Virgo thing. I don't know.
No, dear, no, you're being a total Scorpio right now. Anyway, okay, so. This is fun. But no, okay. No, the reason I champion this sibling dynamic, speaking I statements, is because the fact that he goes to the lengths that he does to try and save her makes absolute sense to me, because within the framework of like a grim fairy tale, or, you know, because that's what this kind of feels like, a contemporary fairy tale. Yeah. It goes very, very dark. But the fact that he goes to those lengths to try and like kill her so he can bring her back and, you know, cure her of this deaditism, the necronomicon, and renew, you know, give her like a renewed chance at life, which is exactly what ends up happening to her. Yeah. I like the fact that it's not just, you know, she doesn't just Sheila her. Like in Army of Darkness, it's not like the guy comes in and, like, you know, with the sword and kills the thing, and then she's okay. It's
you found me beautiful once.
Exactly. It's not like that. Yeah. It's much No, it's much more about like the fact that he was not there for her. He abandoned her when she was a child, it sounds like, with their mother, who needed some kind of facility or, you know, health care that was going to intervene, and her older brother, who was supposed to be there to protect her, was completely absent and just taking care of himself, and had seemingly forgotten about her, possibly driving her, or being at least a trigger toward, or I don't know if it's a trigger, but like being an influence toward, you know, some kind of substance abuse or something like that. So if he can do something for her and be there in a way, show up for her in a way that he never has before in their lives, because they've never really been adults and never dealt with these dire things together. If he can just get that for her, then maybe he can redeem himself in his own eyes, or at least maybe it's a step. I appreciate that. And then what I really appreciate is when she comes back and it's clear that it's her, the movie could be over, but it's not, because what ends up creeping back up on him is the outlier, the thing that he didn't think strategically ahead, like, oh, this thing could come back to bite me in the ass, in the form of Eric when he dies. Because what happens when you die in that house? You come back as a Deadite for sure. So when Eric comes back and gives him, is it the box cutter? It's the same box cutter, isn't it? In the neck?
It was something sharp. It was fatal.
Something sharp. Yeah. That box cutter's everywhere. But he gets him something, cuts in the neck, knows that he's done for, and basically knows that he has to blow the shit up. But the thing that I got from that moment when he shuts the door on Mia and she's just screaming for him and everything like that was something that felt very, very true. Moment of sacrifice. Again, like, kind of like, this is all because I didn't believe you. So, you know what? I'm going to wipe it out. And because I can't help you anymore, I'm going, and pretty soon I'll be a Deadite. So I have to take myself out of the situation, and hopefully, you know, you'll make it. You'll stand a better chance without me at this point. And just the way Jane Levy gives that performance, just screaming, banging against the door, so incredibly raw And so again, something you don't think about with this movie. Oh, anyway,
let's talk about the final battle.
Yeah.
Because that's
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. I fucking like. Okay.
It's just not long enough for you.
It's not long. No, it's not long enough. But it's just like everything that's happening here. This is like it almost like to me feels like, because I don't think you're like a big gamer and I'm not, but I just like it's very Resident Evil video game, like boss battle to me, and that's what I love about it. And just like yes, the drama and the theatrics of the rain, but it does that thing which the Evil Dead movies tend to do already, because we already saw it with like the box cutter and things, but like that machete going through the shelf and just kind of like slicing into her knee, and then like when it slowly, like, because it goes in quick and then slowly pulls out. And it's something so visceral about that, like I can feel it. But I just like the resourcefulness in that moment too, just like the like breaking out through the side of the wall, and just like how it kind of like ends up under the Jeep and then losing the hand and just like literally like ripping the hand off, like all that I love. Like it's just like almost like, guess I don't need that anymore. And there's your homage to Bruce Campbell as well. Like we don't actually need Bruce Campbell in this movie. We just need like a severed hand and like a different variation of it. So I mean, all that I love. And then we also get the classic one-liner, feast on this. Or she delivers it in a very nuanced way that you probably remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, well, then what's the point of having you here?
You just did it.
But I didn't do it. I didn't do the thing.
Oh, Jesus. I'm not. You can't just put quarters in me and get something. But,
all right.
If you wouldn't have gone anyway after I shared my very personal connection to the sibling dynamic, then maybe. But no, I'm not doing it now. I'm hurt. But no. But there are also like tiny things in this film that I appreciate. Like I really you bringing up the rhythm of like the machete going through the boards and everything like that, because the machete has intention. Like when it drags out slowly, like, oh, I know I hit you, so there we go. Yeah. But also, it's one of those situations that is so incredibly engrossing, because the way she reacts is the way. Like a lot of people are piling on the Scream movies now for particularly Screevy, and like the escalation of like the wounds that people can become prey to, and then just kind of like shake it off and grab a Starbucks after. But I like the fact that like if you get cut with a knife, you're gonna freak out, because not only does it hurt, it's scary. It is scary to get somebody slash at you with something sharp, cut you, and see yourself starting to bleed out. That shit is freaky. And it doesn't have to be mortality. It can just be, oh, and I'm bleeding, fuck me, like panic. And everything that she is giving, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't have to be mortal wounds that they're inflicting on you. They don't even have to be like stabbing you in the gut or, like dragging a knife or anything like that. It can literally be a cut over, a surface level of your skin, but it hurts. It's jagged. It's musty. You're already scared and cramped and everything like that. I love that. But even the things that set the stage for things like that, like more ways this film distinguishes itself from within the franchise that I like, are just like little things like when David goes into the cellar to retrieve Mia, and the light passes over the box cutter, and then the camera doesn't move, I don't believe. And then the light moves, because I think he has a flashlight. He shifts the flashlight, and then the light just kind of falls back on the same place, and you notice that the box cutter is missing, and you don't even see the hand take it. And there's another moment that was similar to that, where Fede Alvarez, I felt, was playing with the camera, just in terms of like he's shoveling. David is shoveling dirt on top of Mia when she's got the plastic bag over her head, and the camera is like to shovel. Pan right to Mia laying there with her eyes closed. pan left to the shovel, pan right to Mia's eyes are open. And I don't know, just little things like that, little candy kisses that I just, that just kind of like, I like to follow through this movie, as it were.
I mean, it's upsetting that, especially with the success of this movie, because as far as I know, like we were talking about earlier, it was very successful. Yeah. Why there wasn't a follow-up, because there was always talk about doing a, if not immediate, but like soon after. Again, that was back 10 years ago where, I mean, Avengers was just happening in like 2012. So I don't think that like everyone else kind of like hopped on the bandwagon of like having big franchises and stuff. It's not like now where it's just like you got one Halloween movie, you got to do 2 more. Or you got one Scream movie, you got to do 2 more after that. So it's just like, they probably weren't thinking, just studios of that, but it's just like, I would have loved to see Fede Alvarez come back and Mia, and like more Mia, just like Mia in another movie. And it's upsetting because I doubt we'll ever see her again, but I do kind of, maybe we can, for the remainder of this episode, just kind of like talk about Evil Dead Rise and just like kind of like expectations there, because like I already said at the top of this podcast, of just how this franchise is a very, I don't want to say like anti-feminist, but it kind of is, with the exception of this entry, just because of Mia. Because I mean, like, especially speaking of specifically of Army of Darkness and characters like Sheila, and of course like the first Evil Dead movie, where it's just like all of the women are just kind of like the first to get picked off one by one. And the same thing with like in Evil Dead 2, the character Annie was her name, is just like the ineffectual like heroine by the end of the story. So it's just like, this is not a strong like female led franchise by any means. And we have the new movie coming out, which, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's female led. That's all I can I can really say. And I know this has been discussed, we've talked about it, but there was a recent screening. I guess it was the premiere, like the film festival premiere, and like the director was there, and the actors, and Bruce Campbell, because he's a producer, and Sam Raimi as well. And everyone when the movie was over and they had like the panel up there and everyone was applauding, and then one guy stands up and he's just like, "Your movie fucking sucks," and they're like, "What?" And everyone started booing him, and he just like started walking out and turned around and like flipped them off. And Bruce Campbell's just like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Yes,
like,
and then applause.
Why are you even here? And I'm just wondering, like, what? Because it's from everything that we've heard so far. And I mean, I'm not gonna take like someone like, word of mouth as a sure thing that the movie is successful or like will be good. But it seems it's been praised, from the people who have seen it. So I'm just curious, is like what this particular person, just like, maybe it was like very female driven, and he's just like, "No, I don't want that. I want my like, what's the line that she says in Tenebrae? The hairy macho bullshit. I want to see the Bruce Campbells failing upwards."
I don't want any of this. Show me a dumb white guy just making it through, cause
I relate to that.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not that curious about the inner workings of that mind. And luckily, like somebody like that, the kind of person who is going to stand up at a screening of a movie and tell the filmmakers and the long held kind of like franchise holders, just shriek at them that this film sucks, and then leave.
You ruined my life.
Yeah, no, fuck
my
you.
favorite franchise.
I echo Bruce Campbell's sentiment. Get the fuck out. Like, and that's all he needed to do. All he had to do was get up and leave.
Yeah.
You don't have, because you're not achieving anything by flipping them. You know what you're achieving? You're showing everyone what an asshole you are.
Yeah.
So there's that. But for me personally, I because I know basically nothing going in outside of like, I think I saw the poster And I'm just kind of like, oh, that looks interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't even want to talk about it if there's people who haven't seen the poster yet. So I'm going to go in basically blind. And also, we've said it before, this franchise is such a mixed bag. And you haven't even seen the series, which is... I wouldn't call it a mixed bag. I think it just kind of uses... Yeah. I think without no spoilers, Ash versus the Evil Dead uses kind of like the best of the franchise up until that point and develops it. I think that's the best thing I can say to kind of encompass that series because I'm a fan. But but after that, because that series has happened, I'm not expecting that series when I go see the movie. I'm expecting something new, and that's what I hope I see. Something I haven't seen yet.
I might start watching it, like, because how many episodes is a season? For like 10?
I think it's like 10. I think it's like 30 episodes total.
Maybe I'll try to get that all in before the movie comes out. Because I've been watching the James Bond movies and I'm almost done. I've got like 1.5 left to go. so I'm just like, okay, I need something new to kind of...
You and your James Bond movies.
My James Bond... Well, there's so fucking many. There's like 25 official
that's insane.
Movies. And then there's like...
That's more. Like Marvel numbers. That's crazy.
Well, no, Marvel's now at like 40.
30-something?
I don't even keep track.
I think it's 30-something.
I haven't seen a Marvel movie, ironically, since the Sam Raimi Doctor Strange... whatever madness
multiverse of madness.
I haven't seen that. I'm kind of over the MCU. Like talk about an overdone franchise. Sorry to anyone who's a big superhero movie fan.
But sharing your opinion shouldn't antagonize it. You're not saying you're stupid for
it's
liking
not
this.
Like it's not like you're getting up and being like, your movie fucking sucks.
Yeah. You're just sharing your own opinion in a forum that is kind of like built on like us sharing our opinions.
That guy was giving off strong Diet Cherry Cola girl vibes from Screevy.
Like, I did it, and what you gonna do about it now? Like, oh my god, I hate her. But and I think I do hate her more than Olivia, because at least Olivia has survival tactics. She just doesn't apply them correctly. She's too bullheaded to get out of her own way.
Should we? I mean, is there anything else you want to really go over with Evil Dead 2013 before we move on? Anything that we didn't talk about? Because this is one of those movies, I feel like the Evil Deads in general, I haven't personally had like a whole lot to say about them.
They're pretty simple.
present movie, notwithstanding. So, or withstanding, I should say. But but if there's anything else you want to kind of touch upon that we might have missed.
I just feel like it ultimately solved the problem for me that Army of Darkness posed, which was the Sheila thing. I'm good, even though I'm not, but I'm good before, and then I turn bad, and then I get good again. But the thing is, like, she did have to fight her own battle at the end. That's I think the strongest thing for me is. I don't feel the time limit, I guess, or I don't crave it so much more as you do, that I feel like something is missing or should have been expanded on even more so. I feel like it's adequate. I do feel the absence in H2O. I do feel like, oh my gosh, everything's built up like to this incredible crescendo and I'm ready but I don't get that. When it rains blood... Yeah. And you tear your own arm off after a car falls on it, and I'm not left.
I'm not left unsatisfied by this, and I'm not left unsatisfied by H2O's finale either, because we eventually get the decapitate. We'll talk about that when we get to that episode.
We'll talk about that.
I just mean like the fight that's like kind of like in the school when she goes back in and she's just like Michael with the axe.
Yeah. I know
that was too short.
Okay, that's all set up. That's all set up.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this particular climax pays off for me.
Yeah.
Because I was watching her fight her doppelganger self, her deadite self, Deadite-ganger? I don't know.
I'm just going through
and then when she slices it in half, in the theme of duality, fuck me, that was amazing. So
I was also kind of getting like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like Sally Hardesty. I was just waiting for her to be like yeeted over.
There is something about not just a person, but a woman, just kind of like awash in blood. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but it is deep and it's real, and I respond to it. It's a visual that I just kind of feel like, yes, like I must praise her, kind of thing. Yeah. Fear
I'm
her.
Sure if film professors were really getting into it, there'd be some sort of like menstruation theme to that or something, or just like what is the
well for me it
represent?
Started with Carrie.
Yeah.
For me it started with Carrie, but I know even I saw a post. I don't even know if I still have it, but there was a reference made. I can make it whenever we do Carrie, though. Yeah. But to some kind of painting that inspired her. Yeah. I found it. Okay, I'll bring it up when we discuss Brian De Palma's Carrie.
When we do Carrie. Well, I was just going to say I'm going through the trivia on IMDb, and this is actually something I knew from a while back, and I forgot about it. But if you take the first letter of the main characters, David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, and Natalie, the letters spell out demon.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's trivia is a good word for that, because I want to add an L.
An L?
Trivial. Oh. Like, it's cute. I don't know.
But it doesn't mean anything.
I mean, do we know for sure that the screenwriter intended that, or is it just kind of like a, you know like
what?
Conspiracy theory? Yeah. I got a conspiracy theory about this Evil Dead 2013 movie. Yeah. It's all about demon. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, let's get to the cherry picker.
It's not like we killed people on purpose.
I think this is going to be pretty another obvious one for us. It's going to be Mia.
Yeah.
Mia.
Yes.
What's her last name? I've totally blanked on that.
Do they have not last names?
I'm pretty sure she has a last name. She must. She's not just Mia. Mia Allen.
Oh, okay.
Is our cherry
Mia
on top.
Allen.
Yeah.
Long live the Queen.
Mia and David Allen. All right.
He does not look.
Are we
David Allen?
David Allen. Are we ready for probably a big last week on the cherry picker here?
Yeah.
So, if you'll remember, we talked about a little movie called Scream 6. Or Screevy, if you ask Eddie over here.
Yeah.
And we actually had 3 nominations because we had our editor, Andre Felix. Thank you again, Andre, for joining us for that and for editing the Cherry Picker podcast. But he gave us a third nomination. So he nominated, in Scream 6, he nominated the character of Dr. Christopher Stone. I nominated, who I already referenced, Diet Cherry Cola girl, who has been kind of, I don't know if this was just on Patreon, but people just started calling her DCCG, like as an acronym. DCCG.
That's cute.
Yeah, that's
so you can call people a DCCG if you so choose. Yeah.
And you nominated Date Blank Frankie. And across Patreon, Instagram, YouTube, this was the highest poll turnout so far, the most votes.
Wow.
We've had on Patreon alone, there was over 100 votes. So we've got 94 for Dr. Christopher Stone. And Christopher Stone did not win, so I'm sorry, Andre, but 94 votes went your way.
Welcome to the struggle, Andre.
Yeah. DCCG, or Diet Cherry Cola Girl, received 329 votes. But then with a whopping 1,152.
What the fuck? Oh my god!
Frankie. I'm gonna hand you your tiara and your sash and your bouquet.
Yes. I am the cherry picker.
Yeah. All right. Lots of comments. So let's get through them. Rafael Sampaio. As a psychology student, that doctor is one of the worst mental health professionals I have ever seen in my life. He was pretty fucking bad.
He's bad. Yeah. Terrible.
Michael Begley. Frankie, purely on the basis that the film literally wants you to hate this character. Diet Cherry Cola, sure, but one day she'll try the wrong person and get knocked the fuck out. Frankie gives me my dad owns the company vibes. Anything happens to that dude, he's getting the best lawyer money can buy. So at least we got the satisfaction of him getting tased in the balls. As usual, love all you guys. Thank you for the great content each week and keep up the great work. Favorite podcast. Aww. Thank you, Michael. Yay! I also wanted to point out, because we didn't really say anything in the episode, but was his costume, I think he was like doing Tom Cruise from All the Right Moves, which is, now that I'm saying it out loud, which is the one where he's, because he's in the underwear and the shirt and no, that's Risky Business. Never mind.
Right.
I was gonna, cause remember the line in the first movie, Tatum's just like, I was thinking Tom Cruise and All the Right Moves. If you pause it right, you can see his penis. And I was just like, oh, he's doing Tom Cruise and All the Right Moves. But never mind, it's Risky Business. That's what they should have. That would have been a great little Easter egg there. But anyway, no, he was a Tom Cruise character for Halloween, Frankie. Okay. I thought I'd made he should
have been a Sharon Stone character. He should have just been wearing the white dress and no undies.
What's the Catherine? Something like The basic
instinct. Yeah, I don't remember her character. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. We should do that one time.
We should.
She gives a good performance in that movie. An underrated, as iconic as it is, underrated performance, I think. Go on.
Rob Rangel. For one of the few new characters with a name and decent screen time, you would think Frankie would have gotten killed in some way. I agree. Maybe if the movie started being a Scream movie at the point that he was in it, he might have. Silent Saturn. Boy. Silent Saturn says, Dr. Stone, his job is to help people, but clearly he's afraid of his own patients. Sam didn't even say anything majorly outrageous. She didn't confess to a murder she committed or was planning to do it again. Her killing Richie in self-defense was known to him. I wonder how many people who depended on him he messed up with his incompetence. Also, his reaction gave me Stacy from Candyman vibes, and that alone is grounds for death. Stacy with her Pepto-Bismol pink. Pepto-Abysmal. Yeah.
I think she's worse than Stacy, though. Stacy's not even that aggressive. Stacy could never be. She's just that.
Phil W. definitely cheated on this one, but voted for all three using Patreon. Modern problems require modern solutions. However, that's pretty smart, though. That's the thing. You can go on Patreon, you can go on Instagram and YouTube and YouTube and vote.
I love that he stuffed the ballot box in the spirit of equity.
Basically, he could have just not voted at all.
Yeah, right. But I think that's great. It would literally had me slapping my knees here. That's. But
the more votes, the better.
Yeah, go for it. It's your vote.
But then you have PJ Souls is off to the side somewhere, and she's just slipping all the ballots under the table.
Yes, right.
That's how you won this round. You had PJ Souls
under the bleachers.
Yeah,
no, it is a table. I don't remember.
Anyway, sorry. Modern problems require modern solutions. However, Frankie would be the choice if I had to pick just one. There's no place in the world for people like that. Thank you, Phil.
Agreed.
Grant
100%.
Grant Dempsey, what to do, what to do. My conscience says obviously Frankie, but my heart says Dr. Stone. I guess I'll give my heart a bone and vote for Dr. Stone. You know, having voted for the one in Threegan 2, I gotta say 2023 is shaping up to be a bad year for therapists, cherry picker wise. Sean P. Diet Cherry Cola was pretty awful. However, Frankie was about to do unspeakable things, and based on how Tara's friends reacted, I feel like this is not Frankie's first time. Frankie deserved more than being tased in the balls. Personally, I wish Sam's boyfriend was one of the killers. He was absolutely chilling as Prometheus on the series Arrow, and I wanted to see what he could do as Ghostface.
Ooh.
There's always Scream 7. Scream 7. Stop.
Seven
I'm sorry.
cream.
No,
Seven cream.
God.
I don't know.
Tyker Vic. Frankie was a perfect side character to kill off, but no, they wanted to kill no-name pedestrians. Eye roll emoji.
That's hilarious.
I hope that I got the no right, because there's a lot of
that's great. Yeah. You nailed it.
Amethyst Frost. Frankie deserves it the most, but at least Sam tased him in the balls for what he did. I wish she got some retribution against the diet soda girl. If after taking out the Baileys, she kept Billy's costume on and stabbed diet soda girl a few times, I wouldn't be mad at her. Blue Box 87, Diet Cherry Cola for being a see you next Tuesday, but my real pick is any of the actual characters because no one died. People are getting salty in the cherry picker here for the lack of death. And I'm here for it because I agree. Yeah.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. Mendejo, I thought that was Bella Thorne for a second without reading anything. I guess the picture of Diet Cherry Cola, maybe she slightly resembled. I don't think it was a cameo from Bella Thorne, but Dylan Jameson, my vote went for Frankie for the reason that he seems to be the worst of the bunch solely for his character name in universe being date blank Frankie. Sure, he might have been tased in the balls, but sadly, that's not a worthy punishment for his crime. Dude should have been killed, and in a way to match poor Trevor from Scream 4 by being shot in the dick. Also, a side note, is it just me or does the guy kind of look like Max, Johnny Galecki from I Know What You Did Last Summer, who was also a major creep? He did. He looked like a young, taller. No, look again. Like go back and.
Okay, I didn't. No, but I didn't get it. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
If I see somebody who looks like someone.
I thought the same thing. I was just like he was giving off like Johnny Galecki.
No, like young... I still only got Bradley Cooper in the refrigerator.
No, you're thinking of Greg, the character Ghostface who was roommates / possible
that's
lovers.
who I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's the only one I got. I didn't get Johnny Galecki at all.
No, but we're talking about Frankie.
I know we're talking about two different people.
Why do you do that? Well, yeah, but you need to like set that up. You need to like.
I already did in the last podcast. People who've been listening to us know who I'm.
No, but I mean, like conversationally, right now, you got to segue.
Oh dear God! You know what?
Comment down below if you were on the same frequency as Edward just then. Hamish, Frankie, unkind man. I am Solomon. Oh, solid picks. Each one of them deserved it. I'm going to pick Cola because even if Sam was the murderer, how dumb are you to antagonize her? Should have got the axe for sure, since the other two at least got some kind of punishment for their actions. Bring her back in 7 just to kill her off. LOL.
I agree. They all deserve to die.
Everything Weather. Easily Frankie. He's a creep from the start, and Tara clearly was not in a good place, thinking it'd be good to go with him. Thank God Thank God she had Chad.
Yeah, his response to find all of them, because wasn't Annika the first one to step in and intervene?
Annika was like, hey, I'm Frankie, and she's like, and I am so uninterested in like knowing anything about you. with her green lipstick.
And his creepy reaction when he found out that Tara was a freshman, that make me retch. Go on.
Adam, Daddy Queen's Fantastic World. Wish I could have picked all three because they are the absolute worst, but had to go with Frankie. I mean, his name alone says why. I would have just kept tasing him in the balls over and over and over until they ruptured.
Yeah. Eliminate the offending.
Get rid of the balls.
I don't know, paraphernalia. Go on.
Howell Pun says, Dr. Stone really was a terrible therapist. Frankie is the obvious choice, but I feel like being tased in the balls did the job. Sucked.
I disagree.
Sucked says, Diet Cherry Cola. I wish she was one of the killers.
No!
She just randomly comes out at the end and it's, well, okay. Here's the thing, because I guess I may have miscalculated. I don't know if we mentioned this in the episode when I filmed it, but I was under the impression of the movie that the killers were trying to frame Sam as the killer again, like because how they were doing in the fifth movie. But Ethan does have that line where he just says, "Oh, well, the plan is that some idiot online, some like radical fanatic is going to read the post about you and then take matters into their own hands." And then like the detective would have come in and ruled that out in his investigation. So I guess like the idea was that it was going to be like some nobody that came in and they were actually the killer, which I think is even stupider. But in that case, she's a prime candidate to get framed for everything. So could you imagine that like if they succeeded in their plan and then all was said and done and then they're just like, oh, it's the girl who they had on the recording. She's the killer. And then they go and arrest her and throw her in jail for the rest of her life. But I'm innocent. I just threw cherry cola on someone. And they're like, throw the book at her.
I mean, the only thing I would have liked about seeing her be a ghost face is seeing Sam kill her. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But that's it.
But could you imagine, like, the third mask kit, because you're just like, Mindy, and just, like, pulled it off, and he's just like, ha, it's me, Diet Cherry Cola girl.
Yeah, right. That would have, that actually, because I wasn't surprised at all to see Quinn, so, yeah, that would have been a surprise. So, there you go.
Jessica Browning. Wait, why are there 3 options?
Oh, that's cute.
Well, because I responded podcast guest cherry picker. Oh shit, I lost where I was at. Hold on. My God, please hold.
Back there, Cherry. Please hold.
Seb Sedgman. You don't have to hold. It's good. I'm back. Seb Sedgman. Frankie, because of his face. Because of his face. Because of Johnny Galecki.
No. Anyway, go on.
Anderson Fraser. What did Stone do wrong?
Oh my God! Really?
Wait, there's.
Oh, honey.
I just want to read the reply to that. Silent Saturn. Being a terrible therapist who's afraid of his patients. Okay. Yeah. Well, I've got somebody.
For starters.
Somebody filled Anderson in. Russell Dorsey. Probably Frankie. Michael Potter. All of the above. Wild Sergeant 716 Diet Cherry Cola Pepsi Girl, because that shit is nasty. Sad.
Now it's Pepsi.
Yeah. Okay. Pepsi, Sad turtle.
We'll always be speculating.
Yeah.
Go on.
Sad turtle. Didn't they say cola though? I think they. Because
no,
isn't
they
like
said Coke.
Did they say Coke? Isn't that like a branded thing? I mean, I remember.
Also, it's just something you can say.
I'm pretty sure that isn't like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, but she didn't say Coca-Cola. She said Coke.
But isn't like Diet Coke
You don't need the trademark to say.
Well, I was gonna say maybe
hey,
they were
Coke.
maybe they were sponsoring them, because remember how in like Scream 2 everyone was drinking Pepsi? Is that like Pepsi all over the place?
No, but sometimes it's just an inadvertent thing. It's not always, like a sponsor or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Sad Turtle Dove. I have already almost forgotten many of the not important characters. Not good. I guess you just gotta see it again.
Okay.
D-Beast. Or maybe it's just D-Beast. Chad. But only because he was, in fact, stabbed about 1 billion fucking times.
Oh, well, he did. I don't think that means he deserved to die. Yeah. But yeah, when he survived, rules. I was like,
we're very specific about this. Yeah. My chunky Geordie. Anyone who tries to date blank should get what's coming. Someone spiked my drink once, but I knew something was wrong, so I got someone to walk me home. Never went out again since. Jesus.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
And then Jagger 167. Or Jagger. Okay. I'm just going Jagger, like Jagermeister. Jagger. Jaguar. Frankie, 100%. He tried to bleep my girl Tara. I don't know why I just call her Tara. Hope he's
because you're altering your
Tara.
When you alter in real time, your brain keeps working.
Tara.
Your mouth can't keep up. Go on.
Hope he's the opening kill of Scream 7.
Ooh.
I don't need him to come back. They couldn't even do these characters justice the first time. Let's sit in a writer's room for a little bit longer with Scream 7.
You're never gonna stop potting about Screevy, like.
No, because I have way too much love in my heart. What is it? What is the Richie line? Is like how can fandom be toxic? Because it's about love. I would argue and say that Diet Cherry Cola Girl is like more of the embodiment of toxic fandom, because that's the kind of like energy, like I was already saying, of like the guy in the theater, when he's just like, your movie fucking sucks, just like the irrational outburst of nothing like that.
But what is she a fan
of
sanity?
of reading things online and just like buying into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just go with it. Just go with it.
No.
I went with your Olivia bullshit. Just go with it.
It's not what you... No, you didn't.
I mean, anyway, I listened to it, so...
Yeah, and I listened to you, and I rebutted. That's what you pay me the big bucks for. Anyway.
It's true. That's it. I'm turning it over to you. You won.
Oh, cool.
Remember?
I have to cherry pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to pick a chair. I didn't know. I thought there were going to be so many more.
I think a lot of those were like replies to the comments that were there, because there was there was like replies upon replies.
Yeah, that's equally entertaining.
Just piling on.
Okay, so I get to pick. Well, okay, I don't even know if this is going to win. I honestly, because this movie, I don't know. It seems so subjective, like who somebody is going to be annoyed by. Like, I mean, the fact that you had the reaction to Natalie that you had is very surprising to me out of this field that we're playing in. So I think it's possible. I think it's possible that people could dislike any one of these characters, but we know the one that I dislike the most. So I'm picking Olivia. She's just someone who, a friend I would not want in my corner. Somebody who has simultaneously lost faith in my ability to kind of like make choices for myself, yet feels compelled that therefore the only way that I can ever kind of arrive at that point is for her or him, whoever it is, for them to make the choices for me and wall me into a situation until I'm sober. Like, fuck that shit. I think that I don't pretend to completely understand all the ins and outs of addiction and everything like that, but I've had enough experience with it that I feel like I know when to kind of loosen my grip and step back and go, I end here, you start there. You know, if you need anything, let me know. Sometimes the answer's going to be no. You know, so that's where I'm coming from. How about you, Zach Cha?
Sometimes you get very like emphatical, like for people watching or for people listening who aren't watching. Edward gets very emphatical, and like when there's a lot of movement, emphatical, and when there's a lot of movement on his screen, it freezes up, and then there's just like kind of like still of him just like
of me. With my mouth like off to the side and my hands like up in the air. Sure,
which I think is just funny because like we already knew everything that you thought about Olivia, but we just got to see you frozen in time, bitching about it for a little bit longer. I'm short and sweet Natalie. Who is this bitch? You know?
Really?
Really?
Oh my god!
What was I gonna? I mean, the only other person I would nominate is The Abomination, but I mean, like, I have way too much fun with that, you know?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my god. Or maybe
we're anti-woman. Like, here we're criticizing the Evil Dead franchise for being, the term you used, anti-feminist, but we're killing off 2 of the women. Yeah. But we praise the cherry on top as a woman as well.
It cancels out, you know?
Equal opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
You cross the line,
someone out there is just being like misogynist. The Cherry Picker is a misogynist podcast. But because of Natalie and Olivia.
That would be hilarious. Yeah. But no, I think that's going to be an interesting duo.
Anyway,
but I wonder how much people are going to remember the characters out of this anyway, because I had to remember how much.
Well, first of all, let's see if this episode even gets the listener / viewership.
Yeah,
because it is an Evil Dead movie. Because who knows? Because the new movie is coming out, so it might like reinvigorate the franchise or just like interest in everything again. So anyway, Natalie versus Olivia. Vote your heart, your conscience, or just even like you know, whatever. There's more than just a heart and a conscience. Your guts, I don't know where I'm trailing off with this, but you can do that on Patreon, on Instagram, or on YouTube, or where the polls will be. I would like to welcome some new Patreon supporters. So say hello to Andrew McRae, Rachel Mace, Theo Frimert, Frimert,
I say Frimert.
Frimert, yeah.
You say... All right, go on.
Theo's getting a lot of exposure in this list. Redbeard's Fury with the E's are actually 3s. So maybe that's like 3.
Oh gosh, don't please stop.
So I'm not allowed to do it, but you can?
Yeah, that's coming from me. Like,
all right.
That's a reach. That's a reach.
Yeah. Stephen Priest, Robbie, David James, Jake Beaumond.
I just like the way you trip over it.
I'm
like,
trying. I sometimes okay. I'll get through all this. So Jake Beaumondi, Ellie McGurk. Stop laughing at my Patreon supporters.
No, it's not them. It's just like watching you.
Stop
just
laughing
trying to
at
say it fast.
Yeah.
Like if you say it fast, then it's like okay. Then I didn't really say it wrong.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry.
J.A. Joe
Hey.
J.A. Joe Kane.
Oh my god.
Well, because come on, I'm trying to get through it. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Go on. Go. I'll be quiet.
J.A. Joe Kane and Greg.
You did it.
Thank you to all of the new
Yay!
Patreon supporters.
That's it. We're done.
I apologize. No, I was gonna say sometimes beforehand because I was not prepared. If there's a name that I can't pronounce, I'll try to like look up like pronouncenames.com or there's like a thing you could like look up.
Oh, okay.
But I just
Gotcha.
I was not prepared this time, and who knows if those are even right. Anyone try saying my real last name correctly, you know. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but
Chara.
Chara.
Chérie. You are
French.
Yeah. You are, yes, French Canadian. Exact chérie. All right.
Anyway, if you are new to the podcast, you can listen to us. The RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below. If you are listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube, The Cherry Picker. Go subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram. The handle is @thecherrypickerpod. Edward, where could they possibly find you on your socials?
Type at Edward is Truth on any social media platform you want and see if I'm there.
All right. And you can find me on Instagram at RetroBitchface. My main YouTube channel, Zach Cherry, ZACK Cherry. Twitter is ZachCherry8. And if you want to support the podcast on Patreon, you can look up Zach Cherry there as well. And with that Patreon support, you get early access to all of these episodes. And if you are subscribed at the Freddy Krueger tier, you get to listen to the Cherry Picker After Dark. Coming up this month, we've got Scream Survivor again. Or is it Screeviver? I don't know. Yeah, we had so much fun with the first season that we're going to do season 2 because we have a lot more characters that didn't get to play. So if you're interested in the first season, there is a 45-minute preview on the YouTube channel. You can check that out. But Eduardo, what's coming up next week?
Where the hell are you from? That wasn't anywhere near as distinct.
French Canadian.
Eduardo.
Edward, what do we got going on next week? You're frozen again.
I'm sorry, you made me laugh and gesture.
I know.
when I come back, when my body catches up with my voice,
yeah.
I want to ask you, how do you say Z in French?
Z.
Now it would sound like Dracula.
I have no idea.
Zed. I want.
You're asking. Do you think I like did well in French class at all? No. I literally what? No. I spent my French classes drawing cartoons. I would do I would do Scream cartoons. But with like cartoon characters like Hey Arnold or Rugrats or things like that, whatever was like popular at the time that I was, at that age.
Yeah.
So yeah, very disturbed but creative. I did not do well in I failed all my French classes, so they're probably just did not participate. Was drawing. And if they ask me a question, they're just you're not. Or I'd be like, I have to go to the bathroom. They'd be like, you can't go until you say something in French.
Right.
And they'd ask me a question. Right. I'd just be like, no, because no is the same as
yes.
Like, do you want to
say it? You have to say it you just have to clip off the end of it and just no. Yeah. No. It's not no. It's no.
No.
Yeah. I at one point, I forget what prompted it. There was a day, maybe it was around the time of the lockdown when we were all slowly going insane for our own reasons and in our own ways. But I just started a list of all the words I knew in French. And I started it going, deux, trois, quatre, cinq, I forget what 6 is. So that was it. I had 5 there.
I know. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Yeah. Everybody knows that. And then Mon Dieu.
Yeah.
I know Mon Dieu. I know Beaucoup. I know. Then I started to fall apart. I think I started saying fromage. And
fromage. You gotta really get
my earthy French accent.
Digging that deep.
Yes.
What? Okay. Can you answer the question though?
What was it? I forgot.
What's going on next week? What are we up to?
Oh, are we watching that one that doesn't take place in France?
No.
I don't think.
It takes place. It's on the other side of the tube.
Oh, it's on the other side of the tube. So is it England?
It's yes.
Is it
England? England, yeah.
So there's a lot of horror movies that took place in England. It's not Mary Riley, is it?
No,
it's a more recent movie.
It's more recent, yeah.
More recent, and it took place in England. Is it about Jack the Ripper?
No.
Oh wait. Oh, I know the one. Okay, it's the one with the girl. Is it kind of time travel?
Yes.
And ghosts and yeah. So there's a night, but it's the last one.
Oh my god! If I could reach through the screen right now.
Yay! Last Night in Soho.
That's it. Ding, 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 ding.
I win.
Yes, you won my sanity. Thank you.
I don't want that.
Well, you wouldn't know what to do with
that. What am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with Zach's sanity?
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll be right back.